Want to know why the Primo bottom bracket makes your crank spin so smooth? Today we're going to do and explain and review on the Primo mid bottom bracket. Before we go into details about this bottom bracket, we want you to hang tight because we're going to tell you how to win a bunch of free stuff from our bike shop, as well with winning a free bike. We're going to tell you all the specs about these bearings, and we're going to tell you where you can buy them from. So we've been doing a lot of reviews on a bunch of frames and stuff like that, and obviously when you get a new frame you might want to upgrade your bearings or put some new bearings in to kind of make your life easier. So I'll explain a little bit about these bearings and maybe a little bit differences from the different bearings. So Primo's been making a lot of cool parts for a long time, and they tend to be one of our best selling products, and that's because the price is spot on. They give the bicycle shops a really good margin to actually make money off the parts, and then they come with really quality products and a lot of things that you actually need for your actual cranes to run smoothly. So yeah, just opening this up, it's got the cone spacers, it's got the bearings, it's got this tube spacer, and it's got these little washers. I'll explain a little bit about all of them, but let's start off with the bearings. Let's start off with bearings. A lot of people really don't know the differences between bottom brackets and stuff like that, and it's gone through a lot of changes throughout the years, and now it's come to this, which is mid bottom brackets, and I think these are the dopest size, and I don't see it changing very much, but things always change, so it might change, but for the most part I think these are going to stick around for a long time, so we'll kind of talk about these in a little bit. But let me explain a little bit about other bottom brackets. So there's 3 different sizes of bottom brackets. There's American bottom bracket, which is really big. That's normally comes on like a beach cruisers, a lot of the old school mountain bikes, old school BMX bikes, a lot of the old school race bikes. Actually there's 4 bottom brackets I would say, but one of them we don't really use. We used to use it but don't really use it, and another one we don't really use anymore. But the main ones are American bottom bracket, and that one's like the big huge bottom bracket. It's about the size of a soda can diameter. So we're not going to really talk about that. We'll talk about those in the future when we talk about some conversion kits and how to upgrade those frames to with the conversion kit to fit 3-piece cranks that are around nowadays. But that was a traditional size. Don't use them anymore. The other sizes are, there's a Spanish bottom bracket, which was created from a Spanish brand, and the bearing's actually a little bit smaller. But when you run 22 millimeter cranks, it makes the bearings really small, and the bottom bracket tend to blow up. Be honest with you, every single person that I've ever seen with the Spanish bottom bracket and a 22 millimeter crank has blown up their bearings. The 19 ones last a little bit longer, but even those ones, I've seen those explode and end up failing. So just the bearings just too small, so they didn't really make sense. Another design was the Euro bottom bracket, which was actually threaded into the frame, and they have threads inside the bottom bracket. That one had a lot of problems, mainly because the bearing was small, so they used 2 of them. Made it kind of heavy, but not really, because the bottom bracket shell was a little bit lighter, and then it had aluminum cups on it. The biggest problem that I seen with that was that a lot of do-it-yourselfers, they're really stubborn, and they don't really want to take it to anybody to work on it. They think that they can just do everything themselves, and just the nature of the beast, it has threads. Anything that has threads is gonna be messed up, or it's gonna mess up a little bit easier. You've seen it on your axles on the rear of your bike. If you bump it a little bit, it messes up the threads. Lock nuts back out and just chews up all the threads. So the same thing was going on with these Euro bottom brackets, is that a lot of do-it-yourselfers would try to thread it in. They didn't realize that there's a left and right hand side. They would just get a wrench and start cranking on it. Next thing you know, they would tear up all the threads inside the frame, and then they would also tear up the threads on the bottom bracket, and then they would be forced to go to a bike shop, and then they would go to a bike shop, and then they would bitch and complain about how it was so expensive for them to do it, and why couldn't they just fix it right then there in front of them. And that was basically because they needed a chasing tool, which is bottom bracket chase tool, and that tool alone is about $400. So for them to charge $5 to chase your threads, it doesn't really make sense. So these do-it-yourselfers aren't really used to spending money on quality parts or tools or anything like that. It's usually a hammer and a crescent wrench or vice grips or something like that. So it's really hard for them to understand, and that created a lot more problems. Those bottom brackets were real difficult because the shops would have to actually thread it, they would chase it, and they would have to chase it properly because they could damage the frame and then end up having to throw the frame away. So that combined with all the other different things of the left and the right hand side bearings and the cups, it just made it really, really difficult. So mid and bottom brackets really cool because they just press into your frame, and that's pretty much what makes your crank spin around. But I've seen a lot of you guys out there that are real stubborn as well, and there's a lot of things that you should know about it. And there's a lot of parts that come in the bag, and there's a reason why a lot of those parts come in the bag. And I've seen a lot of you guys leave them out or whatever, just think that you got to push the bearings in, and that solves your problem. You got nice spinning cranks, and your bolts never come loose, and that is far from the truth. So I'll explain a little bit of here, but we're gonna tell you some tech tips after we hit 1,000 subs, and we'll go a little bit more in depth on that. But these Primo bottom bracket bearings are a mid bottom bracket bearing with multiple, I would say, spindle sizes, or a center hole, which is this. It's usually the inner diameter, which is the ID. Outer diameter is the OD. So outer diameter, inner diameter. It comes in 19 millimeter, it comes in 22 millimeter, and then it also comes in the new size, which like the Primo Street cranks is 24 millimeter, and some of the other stranger cranks come in 24. So that's the primary sizes that they come in. So Primo makes every single size, 19, 22, and 24. So if you have a specific crank, find out what size spindle that takes, and then buy the correct inner diameter bearing for that. So if you have an old school crank set like Profiles, or like a generic stock crank that comes on your bike that has no threads on the spindle, that's just a straight shaft, it usually has 8, what do they call it? 8 splines. They're the little bit larger ones. It comes on like almost 80% of the low-end complete bikes. So that one will fit up 19, and then 22 is most of the aftermarket cranks, which are like Primo hollow bites. I can't really name all of them, there's way too many, but a lot of the aftermarket ones, if you want to know that, I would suggest buying a set of cranks from us and then maybe asking us, or buying a set of bottom brackets from us, stopping by our storefront or something like that. Bike shops aren't just going to give away the information for free. It takes time to look at your stuff. We're here to work and make money, and we're trying to keep the doors open. We're not just here to answer all your questions and for you to go to some other shop to buy stuff. So definitely respect your local shop. Don't go in there just asking them for prices. Actually support them by asking them, going, hey, can you get me this size bearing? And then, oh yeah, I can get it for you. Buy it, and then afterwards ask them what size it is and what's going on, because they can see right through you. They know if you're just going in there to just pick their brain and steal their information or whatever, but they're there to sell bike parts. So buy some stuff from them, support your local shop, and they'll help you out. The other size is the 24, which are, like I said, Stranger Mass V2 cranks and the Primo Stevie cranks. So they have a little bit larger. There's a couple other brands that have 24 millimeter bottom bracket, but if you don't know, that's probably because you bought your cranks used and from somebody else, so you're not really supporting the shop. So it makes it really tough for the shops to help you out when you're not supporting their shop. It's your first time there. I understand they're trying to help BMXers and help you guys out, but you guys aren't giving them a chance. So definitely help them out by giving them a chance. So Primo got you guys covered on all size bearings. So you can tell the shop guys, hey, you know what? I know Primo makes a 19, a 22, and a 24 millimeter. Can you get me a Primo bottom bracket? Tips Plus distributes Primo bearings, and they distribute them to a lot of these shops, and a lot of shops have that actual count, so it'd be very, very easy for them to get them. So it shouldn't be a problem. But first thing off is this bearing's a heat-treated outer shell, then it's got an inner spindle, inner race that rides on the bearings, and this these are precision sealed, so pretty much everything's not designed to take apart, re-grease. It does have little dust seals right here you can take off and to clean them out, re-grease them. But for the most part, these are very like low maintenance. So you don't have to keep re-greasing them, stuff like that. Grease them one time, put them on your cranks. Don't dunk your bike in water or anything like that, and these bearings should last you a long time. Very high quality bearings. Like I said, Primo always got good quality stuff. They continue to give you a lot of good quality products, so you can definitely trust these precision sealed bearings. I mean, it's gonna help you run smooth. They're greased up, just spin like lightning, and that's not what's gonna make your crank spin perfectly smooth. There's another feature that I gotta tell you about later on in this video that's gonna actually tell you or help your crank spin a lot smoother. The next thing that has is these cone spacers. So these are really cool because they have a harder aluminum cone spacer. These are 6061 aluminum cones. And the reason why you want a little bit harder aluminum is because when you tighten down those side bolts, what it's gonna do is it's gonna push it up against the bearing and it's actually gonna smash it. So when it smashes it, a lot of you guys just wrench on that thing until you just think that it's never gonna come off. That's not necessarily good for your bike. Some of you muscle men think it is, but it really isn't. The reason why is because if you notice right here, they have a little small shoulder right here. And that's because they ran into problems where a lot of you guys tighten them down too tight and it actually smashes the aluminum. When it smashes the aluminum, it actually causes this thing to push into your bearing and push into this actual dust cover. And when it pushes into that dust cover and it pushes into the side of the bearing, it actually rubs right here. If you don't believe me, go check out Muscleman's bike products. You will see a bunch of scratches all the way around this bottom bracket, and therefore you know for sure he was cranking it down too tight or his cranks weren't put together correctly. So don't over tighten your stuff. It's just made to be firm. It's not to kill it or anything like that. And that'll make your bike parts last a lot longer. So don't say that part sucks. Be informed. Make sure that you get the knowledge before you start, flapping your lips and saying bad stuff. Because I've been there. We've all been there. And education is key. You guys got to learn this stuff, and you guys got to figure it out. So watch what you say, because sometimes it's just knowledge and what we're trying to figure out. But Primo's got your back on that. They put a little lip on here so that when it does press down, it still actually has a little gap. If you look on there, if Muscleman gets on that really tight, that gap might close and actually start rubbing on there, and then your cranks don't spin. So that's another reason why cranks don't spin very much. They got some cool laser etching on here. Got the Primo logo on one side and got the Primo logo on the other side. Now, if you notice, these two cones are different sizes. That is because they're designed to go on each side. Usually the left side crank or the non-drive side crank will take the larger one to take up most of the spacing. The smaller one will usually be on the sprocket side, and that's because the sprocket is thick. Then it's usually got a hat washer. Then this cone goes there, and then it goes up to the bearings. A lot of things have changed recently. The rear wheels have changed. There's no longer a free wheel on there, so it's not a threaded on gear. No, excuse me. There's not a threaded on free wheel that threads onto the hub. So that creates that actual center of the drive to be a lot farther out. That's why they originally came with these really large cone washers. On the newer bikes, it's a cassette, so the cassette is actually built into the hub, so therefore you don't have to thread anything on, and the actual drive system can be closer towards the center of the hub. With that said, is that those little teeth are a lot farther into the left, and I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of you guys really love these cone washers. Nobody sees them, and actually these create your drivetrain to be really off. When you have a sprocket and then that little hat washer, what it does is it actually kicks the sprocket way out. And what that does is it creates a chain alignment to be really off. And that not only messes up your bike, but it wears out a lot of your sprocket and it makes your chain just sound really, really nasty. So if your chain isn't spinning, your cranks aren't spinning very fast, that might be because the chain alignment's way off and it's grinding everything up and it's just creating a lot of problems for you. So to be honest with you, if you're riding a 24 millimeter spindle crank and the sprocket just slides right on, then most likely you do need this. But if you're the 99.9% of the other people that have a sprocket, a hat washer, and then they put this cone on, you probably don't need this cone. You probably just need a really, really thin wafer washer in between there in order to have that chain alignment lined up. A lot of people don't see this, but it really does happen and it really is affecting your bike, even though you're stubborn and you don't think it is. Check your bike out. Your chain alignment is perfect. And I've seen you guys kick your wheel over, redish your wheel, not knowing it, and you're really tearing up your driver, you're wearing out your sprocket, you're wearing out your driver, and you're actually causing a lot more load on the bearings and blowing up your driver inside your freewheel, your cassette, or your free coaster. So if you're wondering why your coaster is breaking and stuff like that, that's probably because of the lack of knowledge that you may have. And that it's kicking its sideways and tearing those bearings up. So be very, very careful on this one. On this one here, it's way thicker, like I said, to take up a bunch of the space, and that's because your sprocket, your hat washer, the little cone, or the little wafer washer in between is X amount. So when you match it up to this one here, then this one takes up majority of the space, then your crank arm goes to the end. So when you're putting your cranks on, you want to work on the drive side, make sure that it's relatively close to the chainstay. If it's too close, it's going to hit your chainstay, put a fat dent in it. If it's too far out, it's going to make your crank stick out a lot. It's going to make it feel a little weird. And then also too is your cranks are more likely to get damaged because there's not enough spindle inside your actual crank arm. So you can cause a lot of problems with that. So make sure your spindle is even and make sure that everything's lined up. But once you do that, when you slide this one on, put this washer and then make sure the spacing's similar to this side so that they match up and you're not actually to one side of your bike. A lot of you guys, I see you guys bring your bikes into a shop and your cranks are offset. One's really far on this side and one's really far on this side, and that doesn't feel good and it doesn't look good. So definitely check that out. Speaking about the wafer washers, and cool thing that Primo does is they give you a bunch of them. So there's 5 different sizes in here. There's looks like a 5 millimeter, or actually that looks like a 6 millimeter, and then like 3 millimeter ones. So what this does is it allows you to change your distance on your cranks. So you might want to run this one on your sprocket instead of that hot washer. If you have, not a hot washer. You might want to run this one instead of that right side drive cone washer. So that it brings in the drive system farther into the side. If your cranks are hitting your frame, you might want to run one of the bigger ones. So yeah, to be honest with you, cranks nowadays stick out pretty far. You probably don't need many of these, but every single bike's different, every frame's different. So add them accordingly. Just make sure that you grease them up and stuff like that. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in the short future. We're going to tell you how to put on the cranks, and we'll actually show you a little demo of like us actually putting on some cranks for you. So stay tuned for that. But this guy right here though is the #1 kicker of what actually helps your crank spin properly and helps your bearings last the longest. I know a lot of you guys out there right now, you guys don't have this in the bottom of your bottom bracket, and that's because you got stubborn and you didn't know how to do it, or you didn't think that you need it. But this is the #1 thing that has to be in your bottom bracket in order to keep your bearings spinning nice and in order to keep your cranks tight. If you're having both those problems and your bolts coming out, you're not doing it properly. It's not your fault, it's just a lack of knowledge. There's not very many people out here telling you the tricks and tips and stuff like that. So that's why I'm here. And let me show you a little bit about it. So I got this frame right here. It's gonna be really hard to see, but later on in the future, I'll show you some tech tips and we'll get some zoomed in clips and stuff like that. But if you notice inside of a frame, it has a little lip right here. That's where the bearing rides. And then on the other side, obviously it's the same thing. The whole idea behind it is that everything's precision sealed. So what goes on is you push that one bearing in, it stops, right? You push that other bearing in, it stops, right? It has nowhere to go. You can slide your cranks in there, but what's gonna happen is when you keep tightening them down, it's actually gonna push this inner bearing right here this way, and it's gonna push this one this way. I'm gonna be straight up with you. These bearings are no good this way. They actually suck when you put side load this way. That's because there's not an actual cage in there. If you look at a bearing, a sealed bearing actually, there's a race that's on the bottom and there's a race on the top. So the bearings run really, really strong up and down this way, but when you get the side load, you're actually kicking it like this, kind of like kicking the side of your kneecap. And what it's doing is it's actually putting pits here and pits here when it, or actually right here and right here when it gets pushed up against it. So what that does is it puts a lot of load on your bearings and it jacks these things up. What Primo has done is they give you this tube spacer to actually ride in between. Now, the reason why your cranks aren't staying tight and the reason why they don't spin is because you're putting that side load and there's not this tube spacer in there that actually stops them. Now with the tube spacer there to stop it, you can actually clamp it down as tight as you want, and the bearing's never gonna get any side load. All it's gonna do is secure the arms to the actual cranks, and your cranks will have the ultimate spin. Now, that is a key thing that you wanna do. And I know a lot of guys out there is like, well, mine rattles in there, and that's because it's not sized right. That's why they give you these different ones and you add them accordingly. That's how you keep it super, super tight. So that's the hardest part about putting in a bottom bracket. A lot of guys come in our shop, complaining that we charge $20 to $40 to put in your bottom bracket. That's the reason why, because we make sure this is correct. Sometimes I've even cut them down and had to use multiple tools in order to cut it perfectly, add washers, whatever I need to do to make that fit right. Don't come in their store, complaining that something costs much, because we're gonna do it right. That's why we charge more money, because it's done right. Yeah, you could get your buddy Joe Schmo over there in the backyard that's gonna put your bottom bracket in, but what's he gonna do? He's not gonna use grease. He's not gonna cut this tube spacer around. When you're not looking, he's probably gonna throw it around off behind his back and it's gone. He's gonna drop your bearings into the dirt, and there's gonna be dirt all over your bearings, and then he's gonna put it back in there, and that's just gonna create rust. Your bearings are gonna get rusted. He's gonna put on the drivetrain crooked. Tons and tons of stuff is what he's gonna do wrong. That's why he doesn't work at a shop. That's why he doesn't own his own bike shop, and that's why he's always trying to work on somebody else's bike, because he doesn't wanna mess up his bike, because he knows that he's probably not doing it right, and he's learning from your money. So make sure you take it down to the shop. I know it's a little bit more money, but respect the shops, respect the dudes that know what they're doing. If the guy works at a shop or something like that, you know that that shop owner trusts him and knows that he can put it together right. And if he doesn't, he's actually teaching them to put it in right. So a lot of little things like that goes a long way. It may be a little bit more money, but time is money. You wouldn't go work at McDonald's for $0 of pay, right? You want to go there for 8 hours. Why is a guy at the shop going to work on your bike for free? So the same thing is, you want a cheeseburger, you're going to go buy and pay that person a couple bucks for the cheeseburger. Same thing, if you want your bottom bracket put in right, you're going to go and pay that guy to put in your bottom bracket. So you got to look at it a little bit differently. If you can't do it, like I said, hang tight. We're gonna start showing some different videos and stuff about tech tips and show you guys to actually how to work on your bike. And even then, it's a lot different than watching a video and actually doing it, because there's a lot of things that you may not know and you can't really see in a video. So definitely respect it no matter what, even though there's free stuff. It's gonna teach you. But yeah, Primo hit it right on the head. They got some pretty cool, cone spacers. They got solid bearings. They got a tube spacer. And the tube spacer is pretty small, so that you could add these spacers if you need to. It's got plenty of, spindle spacers so that you can adjust and change your actual bottom bracket to fit your special needs. All cranks are different. You're gonna need a change, and there's not always a norm. You don't always need this one for every single frame. You don't always need X amount of spacers for your certain cranks and sprocket and so on and so on and so on. Everything is custom. Once you start changing stuff on your bike, it is custom. Even the bikes that are stock, those were customly built in the warehouse, and they know how many that they need in order to go onto that frame. That's why all the packs come the same, and that's why they have all the little kits to build the bottom brackets and stuff like that, exactly the same. Once you start changing that, it's custom. So custom bicycles equal custom problems. Just because it has 2 wheels and has a sprocket doesn't mean that it's all the same. And like everything, if it has tits or it has tires, you're gonna have problems. So expect that. Expect Primo to help you guys out by coming through with the solid bottom bracket. Shout out to those guys for continuing to make great quality products and bringing it in at a reasonable price. Definitely thanks for helping us out at the shop here with the good margin on your parts, so that we could actually just sell parts and don't have to always work on bikes in order to make, ends meet. So thank you for giving us good margins on that. Thanks for supporting the local shops around the world on that side of things. Thanks for supporting BMX by sponsoring riders and helping these young kids fulfill their dreams and actually make a paycheck by riding and just doing what they love. We appreciate that. And like I said earlier, we're gonna tell you a couple things. So first off, if you guys want to buy these bottom brackets, you can buy them from our store at stackbmx.com. Any of these bottom brackets fit any of the frames that we sell. They fit about almost all the completes we sell here. If you buy a bike that's $309 on up, any of these bottom brackets will fit it. You just got to pick the right spindle size. All the parts on our website fit all the bikes on our website, so it makes it real easy if you got a mom and you go, hey, you know what, buy all my stuff from here because I'm just learning everything from now on. You can buy from here and it's always going to fit my bike, and we'll all be happy campers. That's why we created the site. If you're wondering about certain things, you can go on our site and go under that category and watch some of the videos, because we post these videos underneath the products so that you guys can find out a little bit more about that product and a little bit more about that actual item. So if it's tires you want to know about and different knowledge about tires, watch all our videos about tires, because it's going to help you out. We tell you a lot of different things throughout the whole video. We can't just sum it up in one video. It's just way too difficult. There's way too many things to know about tires. There's way too many things to know about other parts. So go on our site, support us so that we can keep making these. It makes it fun for us. But thanks for the support. We also told you that we're going to tell you how to win some free parts from our shop. So the easiest way to do it is to subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you turn on your notification bells so that every time we drop a video, you guys get a notice, and then you can enter one of our contests. Also too, if you got a blog or you got Facebook or anything like that, tag us in your videos, or repost this video so that other kids could see it, so that it helps us out when we grow, because the faster that we grow, the more stuff we can give away, the faster that contest comes up. So at 1,000 subscribers, we're going to give away a free parts package, and just comment below, and that's what's going to actually enter you into the contest, is when you comment below to let us know, hey, I'm actually watching it, and tell us a little bit about the video. Say, hey, I checked out this video, enter me into the contest. So do that. We're going to look at them. We're very, very close. We're about 24 subscribers from 1,000. I'd like to say thank you to everybody that has subscribed already. We appreciate you. These take a lot of time out of my day to film these and to actually put them up and post them and comment back and all this stuff. So we're doing this for you guys as well for the shop, and we want to help BMX, and this is our way to do it. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate you. And thanks for getting us to very, very close to 1,000 subscribers. But don't just end there. We're going to keep posting videos, and at 5,000 subscribers, we're going to give away a free bicycle retailed at $300, and we're going to ship it to you guys free of charge. So all you got to do is enter the contest and keep entering these, because we might even pick one of our oldest videos, and one of those comments might pick. So comment on all the videos that we post. Keep watching them. Comment as much as you can, because that enters you into all of our contests. And then we're going to start to do more contests throughout the whole series and stuff like that. So even between 5K, we're going to do some small contests in between here. So you're going to want to watch those videos. And also too is at 1,000 subscribers, we're gonna start to drop videos of how-tos, and we're gonna start to show you what our shop is really about and show you the backbone of what our shop is, it really is, and what started it, and more of, you know, I mean, the life and who we truly are and what we're about, because we haven't done that. And that's what we're gonna do. But thanks for subscribing to our channel. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for supporting me. I appreciate it. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can check us out at Stack BMX Shop. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, my personal one is Can't Stop LA. I post a lot of old videos that I filmed back in the day, helped out young riders like you that were never sponsored, then end up being sponsored, end up being pro, end up traveling, end up getting paychecks for riding, ended up doing a lot of other stuff that they wouldn't have been able to with just help and teamwork and just working together to make some fun stuff and film BMX and to give it back to our community, which is you guys. So thanks a lot for supporting me. Thanks a lot for supporting Stack BMX Shop. Thanks a lot for supporting our pro riders, our AM riders, our flow riders. Follow them on Instagram. They're in our, you know, I mean, our follow list. So those guys are coming up. You guys don't know who they are, but you shortly will. So thanks, you guys, for supporting everything we do. Without you guys, we would be nothing. We appreciate you. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.